وقل رب زدني علما.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah we're now moving on to our next topic in this section, which is called Tanazu'. So we discussed Tanazu', but just before we have a bit mind map. We finished the kalima, ism, fa'il, harf, ma'rifa, nakira. We finished mubtada, khabar, and nawasikh. We finished fa'il, na'ib al-fa'il. We done ishtighal, and now we're on tanazu'. This is kind of a halfway point in this discussion, in the jumla, in the murakkab. Okay? Now, again, here is this tanazu', there's not much like subheadings, it's just like basically one mas'ala. There's a few subheadings, but it's like one line each. So not too much to discuss in here. Babun fi tanazu'. Tanazu' from bab tafa'ul. Which bab is it from? Bab tafa'ul. Naza'a yanza'u means to pull. Naza'an, to pull. And tanaza'a means, bab tafa'ul means two people doing the same thing. So it means here to pull, to two people pulling something. So we can say here the fight, the argument, debate, or the pulling, snatching. Basically, let's look at the example. يجوز في ضربني وضربت زيدا. What's يجوز? Don't worry about that. Let's look at an example for now. Or look at an easy example you got here. If I said here, اقرأ واحفظ الدرس. اقرأ واحفظ الدرس. What's the i'rab of this? What's اقرأ becoming?
But still, it doesn't mean that the party, that the person is over the party.
Okay. And what's ihfaz becoming?
The party can still hand out ta'zeem. Okay, the Doba is fine in his place.
What does ad-dars become? Maf'ul bihi of ihfaz. What about iqra? Or iqra? Or both? Or who? They both need it, don't they? It literally means read the lesson and memorize it. But it means here, iqra, read and memorize the lesson. Read and memorize the lesson. You see what's happening here? So now, iqra and ihfaz, both verbs are disputing dars. Now both need a maf'ul bihi. Well, don't need necessarily, because the jumla is correct without it anyways, but it's just that both of these need this jumla. This maf'ul bihi. You understood? Here it's very easy, because dars is a maf'ul bihi of either one of them, it doesn't matter in i'rab. If I said here, at'amani wa saqani Musa. At'ama is what? What's at'ama? Fa'il, and this is also maf'ulun bihi. But if you make it the maf'ul bihi, who's the fa'il of what? Which verb? It has to be one of them, it can't be both of them. In meaning, it's a fa'il of both of them, in meaning. But in i'rab, the problem is it the fa'il of this one? Fa'il of this one? Which one is it the fa'il of? Do you understand? You understand? No. And in here, you have at'amani. At'amani becomes what? At'ama is what? Fa'il? Maf'ul bihi. Now, do we say who is the fa'il? Now, saqaytu is what? What does Musa become? Is it the fa'il of this? Yeah, maf'ul bihi for this. But, so, because Musa is easy, you don't know if it's either. But if it's Zayd, will it be Zaydun or Zaydan? You see the problem? Do you understand the point you're following? Muhammad, you following? Yeah? So it's called tanazu'. Basically, two verbs or two amil, they're disputing regarding one ma'mul. Which verb, which amil should govern it? Who gets possession? In ishtighal, it's the opposite. In ishtighal, the verb is too busy. It doesn't want the ma'mul. Remember that one? Zaydan darabtuhu. Darabtu does not want Zayd. Zayd is left alone, unwanted. And now everybody wants Zayd. This is the neglected child. This is neglected. And now this is spoiled. Everybody wants Dars and nobody wants Zaid. You get it? You see the opposite, complete opposite. Yeah? What do we do? So he's saying here, in the example of darabani wa darabtu Zaidan, darabani wa darabtu Zaidan, where you have two verbs, daraba and daraba, and they both need one thing here. What do we do? He's saying here, يجوز إعمال الأول واختاره الكوفيون. أعمل يؤمن means to make amil. You would make the first amil, the first verb the amil. Yes? So for example, they would say, Zaidan is a maf'ul bihi. No. What would they say? They would say what? This is the amil. So according to Ahlul Kufa, so basically two opinions basically. So Pillar Kufa is in blue. What do they say? They say, this is the fa'il. Yes? The fa'il is going to be what? Zaidun. And ni becomes maf'ul bihi. And darabtu becomes what? Fa'il. And fa'il. And no maf'ul bihi of that one. You understand? They say that, what do they say? Zaidan is linked back to daraba. And the people of Basra, their opinion is, this becomes the fa'il and the fa'il is huwa inside. Ni is maf'ul bihi, darabtu is fa'il, fa'il becomes maf'ul bihi of this verb. So they say no, you do amal, you make the second one the amil. Everything is the second one, that Zaid belongs to the second one. And people of Kufa say no, it belongs to the first one. Do you understand? Are you following? You understand that, Muhammad?
The Qadi is the one who has to.
Yeah, Abdurrahman, you following?
So basically, if he passes the sentence of stoning someone to death, he has to throw the bus stone. If the Qadi is not willing to throw the bus stone, the had is sacked.
Well, the one group will say Zaidan is a maf'ul bihi of darabtu, like the people of the green, the Kufa, Basra. And the people of Kufa say no, this is Zaidun, the fa'il of daraba. In our example here, you can't tell. In our example here, we can say, well, is Musa the fa'il of at'amani? So let's say blue. That's a people of so here, people of Kufa will say this is the fa'il of what? Of this. People of Basra say no, this is the what? Maf'ul bihi of this. But Musa is flexible because the Arab is taqdiri, so you can't see it. Do you understand? Yes? فَيُضْمَرُ فِي الثَّانِ كُلُّ مَا يَحْتَاجُهُ. Now if you say the first verb is the original verb, the first verb is the one doing the amal, then what happened? In a second one, you'll say it's hidden. So for example here, we have here qama wa qa'ada ar-rajulan. The two men stood and sat. Yes? The two men what? Stood and sat. Yes? You following? Now, what do people of Kufa say? What do they say? This is what?
This has been a debate amongst the scholars throughout the century.
Here, is linked there. So this is fa'il. And then this becomes what? Fa'il. And then, in the second verb, you bring the zamir. So the zamir is what in here? Fa'il. You see? So qama wa qa'ada ar-rajulan. You follow? Now, yes? If you just said for example, very easy, if you said qama ar-rajulan wa qa'ada, you have no problem whatsoever. It's a normal, simple sentence. But if you put the rajulan at the end, then you get the problem. What could be a problem in this example regarding the dhamir? What's coming first, the zamir or the marji? The dhamir or the thing is referring to. What's coming first?
I accept that.
But in theory, so in terms of the wording on the paper, yes, qa'ada comes first and rajulan comes second. But in terms of normal order, when you rearrange the order, what's coming first? Qama is fa'il. This comes first position. This is lafz and rutbah. this comes second, and this comes third, and zamir comes fourth, isn't it? Remember we had example lafz al-rutbatan with the truck, people racing. So even though rajulan seems to come at the end, it's really in second position. So therefore, it's not really idmar qabla dhikr. You're not having a dhamir before the actual word. So qama wa qa'ada ar-rajulan is permissible. That's not a problem. Do you understand?
But the debate, see, I accept that the had which is in the Quran.
It is permissible to make the first governing. So it is permissible to make the first the governing particle or governing word. And the Kufiyun, the people of Kufa, have chosen this ikhtara, to choose. And the people of Kufa have chosen this. In the second verb, kullu ma yahtaju, whatever the second verb needs will be a dhamir.
But it's still the, see, the hudud which are
So in qa'ada,
amount of crimes on it. That's not the only.
yeah. So for example, so if rajulan belongs to qama, so who does rajulan belong to? Who does rajulan belong to? Qama, qa'ada, according to this opinion. So then what does qa'ada need now? A fa'il, isn't it? Zamir. Another example, ja'a wa nasartuhuma ar-rajulan. So now, is rajulan the fa'il of ja'a or the maf'ul bihi? Yeah. So now we say here you have ja'a wa nasartu ar-rajulan. So what will happen here? We say ja'a is the fa'il. We link rajulan is a fa'il. Then we say nasartuhuma becomes what? Fa'il. Fa'il. And huma becomes what? Maf'ulun bihi. So here, this word needs a maf'ul bihi, you bring a maf'ul bihi pronoun. You see? You following? Yes? You got it? Ja'a wa nadartu ilayhima ar-rajulan. The two men came and I looked at them. So now here, ja'a is a fa'il. Ar-rajulan is a fa'il. And then nadartu ilayhima. Then this becomes what? Fa'il. Fa'il. This is the majroor ilay. This is the ilay. Becomes the majroor pronoun. So whatever pronoun you get, you just bring it in. Do you understand? You got the first possibility? The first way of doing it? Understood? Everybody following me? Okay. أو يجوز إعمال ثاني. You say no, that noun belongs to the second verb. واختاره البصريون. People of Basra say this is better. They got their own evidences for it. I'm not going to discuss that. فيضمر في الأول مرفوعه فقط. In this scenario, you can only bring the marfu' dhamir. Let me explain why. If I said nasartu, rajulan belongs to who according to people of Basra? Who does it belong to? It belongs to what? The nasara, isn't it? Nasara is fa'il, needs a maf'ulun bihi, and rajulan becomes a fa'il, yes? Correct? In here, nasartu is what? Fa'il, and tu is the fa'il, yes? Can you bring huma here? If you bring the zamir mansub here, what's the position? What's the order? First position, second position, third position, fourth position, fifth position, sixth position. Yes? Does that make sense, the position? Because rajulan belongs to Nasarani, isn't it? No, not actually. It would be not 5 and 6. This would be 4, 5, and 6 position. Yeah? You understand that order? Correct? Huma would refer to what's huma referring to? Or what do you have now? Idmar qabla dhikri. You're bringing a dhamir before even mentioning it. It's not permissible. So you can't bring huma. You can't bring the mansub zamir on the first verb. Do you understand? Do you get it?
Allah spreads His
In a majroor form, نظرت إليهما ونظر رجلان إلي. They say this is the fa'il. This is the fa'il of this verb. Yes? Okay? The maf'ul bihi, can you bring ilayhima as a zamir here? No. You get izmar qabla dhikr. So in these two cases you get what? You get izmar qabla dhikr. Because of izmar qabla dhikr, because of us bringing a zamir before it's actually been mentioned, we can't do this. We can't bring the huma zamir here or the ilayhima here. In the fa'il we have the same problem. Because what's the order of the sentence in here? What's the order of the sentence? Who comes first in a sentence? Who's coming first? Qama. Qama is coming first. The zamir is coming second. Qa'ada is coming third. Yes, that's the real order, isn't it? The alif zamir is referring back to who? Referring forward to who? Rajula, isn't it? Correct? Yes? Do you understand this, Abdul Rahman? Are you following? Yeah? So this is also a problem. You also have here idmarun qabla dhikr. You're having a pronoun before it's actually been mentioned. But if you remove that pronoun, can a verb exist without a pronoun? Can a verb exist without a pronoun? No. Can a verb exist without a fa'il? So have you got a choice? Have you got a choice? There's special exemption. Put a stamp here. Special exemption, we can have idmar qabla dhikr here because we've got no choice. So in this scenario, you have to bring that. You can only bring that. فَيُذْمَرُ فِي الْأَوَّلِ مَرْفُوءُهُ فَقَط. If you make the second verb the amil, then you can only bring the marfu' zamir here. You can't bring the mansub or the majroor zamir. Because can a verb exist without a maf'ul bihi? It can. So you don't bring it. Can a verb exist without the majroor zamir? Yes, it can. Can a verb exist without a fa'il? No. So we make special exemptions to allow the izmar qabla dhikr, to allow the dhamir coming before the actual word. And we say, well, qama wa qa'ada rajulan is not the best option. And this is the evidence of the first people. The first person, this is a big problem. That's why we don't do this. We say that we make it the amil is the second. The amil is the first, sorry. But that's another issue altogether. Okay? So you can only make the marfu' zamir. You can't make the other one zamir. Do you understand what's happening here? So you got a choice. You can make what? You can make the first verb the amil or the second verb the amil. If you make the first verb the amil, you can make the zamir marfu' mansub or majroor in the second verb. But if you make the second verb the amil, you can only make the zamir a marfu'. You can't make it a mansub or a majroor. Understood so far? Yes? You following? Abdullah, you following? We'll continue from here tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayka.